All right, I'd like to call our the special meeting of the Kitsap Public Facilities District to order. It is May 28th, 11:31 by my count here for our meeting today. I think we have on our agenda space for public comment, so we will allow that. If there is anybody in the attendees section that wanted to give public comment, we would ask that you keep it to 3 minutes, and you can notify us that you would like to by raising your hand or putting that in chat or question and answer.
The attendees are Cynthia Rogers, who works for Shannon Thompson.
Okay.
And there's 2 of those, so maybe Shannon's one of them, I don't know, but there's no other attendees.
All right. Well, then on to the business at hand. We called this special meeting for the purpose of our executive director search that we are doing. And the first step in that was to find an executive search firm that we would partner with, or that would help us with this search. And so we went through the procedures of putting out an RFP, and Kitsap County was wonderful to help us and to aid us with that, to do it correctly. And we went through the interview process, which was Tom and John and I, and Monica Blackwood and West Sound Workforce is who we would like to put before you today to recommend as the executive search firm that we would like to recommend or use for the search. So if we could, why don't we start with a motion for that, Tom or John, if maybe you want to make that, since you and I are the ones who are recommending this to the board.
Go ahead, John.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to move forward with the contract to utilize West Sound Workforce in our search for an executive director.
I'll second it.
All right, thank you. And now discussion. Just want to give, especially Tom, John, any comments you'd like to share with the board about that interview or about that submittal. You know, all of you board members have received that submittal as well. Wanted to share that information with you, as well as the contract that we would sign, so that you're fully aware of all the details. But Tom or John, any items that you would like to share, and then we'll open it up to the board for any questions or comment that you have.
Yeah, I would like to just start by stating just a few of the reasons why I think Monica and the West Sound Workforce would be great for us. One, we had a great interaction with the team. They are going to support us through the search process. They have a timeline. While it is flexible to us, they had all their ducks in a row in how this should look, in providing us an understanding of what the entire process will look like, what the outcomes are hopeful for, and beyond. I will also say she had some great comments around diversity and some things that are hot topics at this point, into even just the way you word a job description, and how certain words can be masculine and things like that. So just ways for them to be able to maneuver to make sure that we're getting the best candidate pool. And then she's given us a discount. You know, I think you saw that she's going to give us a 10% discount on her normal price due to being the Public Facilities District. I loved her answer that they have a vested interest in this organization because they live, work, and play at our facilities, as they are Kitsap based. And lastly, I'll just leave that we're spending money that's going to recirculate right here in our economy. So I love that we're choosing somebody like that.
Hey, as John's speaking, I'm recalling that this morning, a shout out to John, who was featured in the Kitsap Sun as one of the 20 under 40. And so if you wanna, if you don't get enough of seeing John's face here on this Zoom session, you can look in the paper and see it there and learn a few other things about him as well. Tom?
Yeah, I would add that, they really have a turnkey approach, and, not only will help us with crafting the job description, but are very skilled in this industry, and will, I'm confident, find a pool of candidates that will be qualified for the role. I agree with John that I'm very pleased that they're located in the county. But aside from that, Monica and Laura, who are on the call, are extremely qualified, and they have a ton of experience. And I'm super confident that they'll do a good job for us.
I would add, when we started this process, much was made of their work for KETA, and that members of our board were impressed with that. They have other local public entities that they've worked with as well in our area. And again, kind of echoing what Tom and John have said, to hire a Kitsap firm, they made a great, in their opening letter, of just a great point of just saying, hey, these are facilities our families and we will use. And so we have a vested interest in finding a great, next executive director for the KPFD. And so I was impressed all the way through with Monica's work and with them. Now, questions from the board or any discussion that you'd like, or answers that you'd like to hear from us.
Who was the second, Darren?
I have a. Go
It
ahead,
was
Mike.
Tom. It was Tom and Walt. Go ahead.
This is Walt. I know you sent us the response to the RFP, but the Tillamook, Oregon Fred Meyer parking lot was not cooperating when I tried to download it. So my question is, how much are we paying for Monica's services?
It's 18% of the annual salary. And then there is a discount on top of that. There are expenses up to $1,000, whatever relocation fees there would be for that person as well.
Okay, thank you.
Did they have an idea of how long this will take?
Yeah, in that submittal, they put down their timeline that they would hope to operate in. And key dates for us, that's important for all of us to mark on our calendars, is June 7th to 11th is the week that they would like to work with us to redo that job description, to create that job description that they will then put out to attract our next executive director. And so that is something where part of this conversation when we're done with this vote is to also determine who's going to be on that search committee for the executive director. But one thing that I've talked with Monica about, with Tom and John too, is that I think it's important that we have the voices of the entire board in this process as we are, updating a job description. And I'm sure all of you would want to have voice in this process of saying who we want as our next executive director. I also think it's important for us to hear each other. So they will have, as part of this process, written work for the 7 of us to do. I've also encouraged them to reach out to the county commissioners, as well as all of our different partners, to get input and feedback on what they would want for the executive director position, what they think is important in that job description. But I think I think we should have another public meeting with the 7 of us, or some kind of a retreat where we have that taped, and hopefully that could be in person even, but where we can hear each other as we share different ideas that we have. I think that would be helpful in the process. But June 7th to 11th is the time frame that they have for that purpose. Then, Pat, it goes like this: June 14th, that next week, to July 16th is when they'll advertise the position. So it's a little bit over a month. And then from July 19th to August 20th, which is another 5-week period, that's when we'll conduct the interviews and get to the finalist interview. And they would hope to have an offer presented on behalf of us. And that would be work that they would do the week of August 23rd to 27th. So the timeline they have is by the end of August, that executive director would be hired.
That's good.
Any other question, comment?
I think the only other question I'd have is we made sure Brian looked over the contract. I read through some of it, but I'm not a lawyer.
Brian has looked over the contract, and he did have some feedback that I'd like to take back to Monica, or have Brian work directly with West Sound Workforce to just get clarity on a couple of issues. So maybe that motion, I forget exactly how you worded it, John, but with the understanding that there may be some edits just from our legal team.
Yeah, so I may need to just amend that to say, I move to accept the contract as presented with the financial part of the contract unchanged and any other details worked out by Brian.
That's great. And receive that as a friendly amendment. Tom, is that good with you as well for your second?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Any other questions before we vote, or comment or thoughts? All right. Then I'd like to call for a vote on this motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. All right, motion passes. For that second question of beginning that determination of who would like to be on the executive director search committee, who would be interested in that?
I will.
I can be on that.
Okay. I certainly would like to continue that continuity too, as the chair. This will be the point where we have to figure out how we make 3 into 2 for quorum purposes. So Tom, John, Walt, you have a preference for how we make those choices?
I can
No,
refuse.
I'm happy to let the folks who did it before stand in, because I think we can't meet with 4, can we, without it being a meeting?
That's correct. But again, that's why I wanted to say that piece of creating that job description, especially at the beginning, is work that I think all 7 of us have to do together. And so there will be written work for all of us. And then I think at least, and I will work with Monica to make sure that we have a public meeting, and I'd like that to be in person. If you are all comfortable with that at this point, we'll work out all the details of that, and you can contact me directly if you're not comfortable with that. But during that week, we would meet at some point to be able to, once we've done the written work, to also hear each other's responses and to talk through any details, that they will lead us through. They would run that meeting and guide us for creating that job description.
So
Does that
would
sound
that
good?
be a public meeting, or would we go into executive session since it's personnel related?
I think there'd probably be a couple of, I think the meeting would include both. That would be my guess, but others who have done that before?
I might need we might need guidance from Brian on that, to whether or not it's public or not, but
We'll get that squared away.
yeah.
Okay.
I will also say last night was victory for Kitsap. The conference center held, it must have been about 200 people for the 20 under 40. And so we're back, baby. And our facilities being used. So it felt good. It felt weird being with a group of folks after not for so long, but our facilities being put to good use finally. And I'm super excited to see more of that type of activity.
That's great. And congratulations, John, on that selection and that award, that recognition. That's a great thing.
Thank you.
Hey, Darren,
All right.
which week were you talking about for that in-person meeting?
Yeah, June 7th to the 11th.
Okay.
June 7th to the 11th. If you would you all look at your calendar as soon as we get off this meeting and just shoot an email with any times that you cannot meet. And then we will try and slice and dice to get a space with them, because it'll be dependent on their schedules too.
Are you thinking during the day or in the evening, or?
Either. I think please include in your responses both of those. You know, my preference is whenever it would work. I think it'll be somewhat challenging with their schedule and our schedule combined. So please include workday and evening, just times that you cannot be there, not times that you can, just times that you cannot. All right. Okay, with that, I'd like to, anything else before I adjourn the meeting that any other board members that I'm forgetting? All right. Then I'd like to adjourn the meeting. Thank you for all of your time.
Happy Memorial Day weekend.
Bye.
Bye.